Welcome back right into the action. I promise you didn't miss anything. Right here on Lijiang Tower, Night Market. Let's get it started. You're seeing the somber goats from both sides, Heurix.
Yeah, not only that, but also Wright in play here as well. So Edison contending with Flora, and this is already a big opportunity here for GC Busan Wave. They have already exposed Karayan instantaneously, and definitely interested in seeing, Wright being in play here versus Gargoyle. Still expecting to see a little bit of the same play, but certainly a little bit less of that, aggression, some of that flanking play on the Zarya from Wright as opposed to Edison.
Well, WGS Armament, they're getting out of this main doorway. You can see Karayan's under fire, half health. He does regenerate, pushes GC Busan back, whose shield is broken. Now it's time to engage from WGS Armament, who are working towards 20% off of a grab. Slightly faster here than Wright as now they start to equalize. But now you also have into play, it's going to be the EMPs. Could be combined with the grab, preferably not. It's actually Gargoyle and Wright who throw the grabs at the same time. They both die after that. But Fielder uses the Transcendence, giving GC Busan Wave extra healing. The Shatter EMP combo from WGS Armament blows open the point as they take it back from GC Busan Wave.
You have to scratch your head and wonder how that happened. WGS Armament fired back instantly. I mean, both of those Zaryas with their last dying wish. I threw the grab, kill him! Not gonna get the job done though, at least for GC Busan Wave, but they do have their EMP for this next fight.
And they drop it right on top of their heads, and instantly Myeonbong is out, and he had Transcendence. Mondu also got hacked. He couldn't use the barrier, and they keep the fight. It was at least a quick one from WGS to reset.
Yeah, we'll see the sound bearers ready for both sides, but it's WGS Armament with an advantage here, potentially, having the Transcendence available. And certainly, this would definitely be off of Ritz's pace, but they could definitely use this aggressively to find an opening.
Oh, he actually forces out Myeonbong's Transcendence as he was shooting him into the back, and now they really have to win this fight, but it will dwindle away as the fight hasn't even started yet. Now you have the barrier from Daydream. Ion did get stunned. He's under fire, starting to retreat, but he does take care of his counterpart, Karayan, before he could get the Shatter out. 6 versus 5. WGS, they have the EMP, but they actually don't even want to engage without their Reinhardt.
We're seeing Edison go around the side, but WGS Armament, that kind of should have been their fight there, right? I mean, go with the Transcendence, basically instantly look for a kill onto the Reinhardt as fast as you can, but now GC Busan Wave building up into their next EMP, and they have their Transcendence available for them to combat the Graviton from Gargoyle.
Oh, you see Fielder all the way in the back, wants to be out of the line of sight from the EMP, and actually they don't combine it here with the Shatter. He already takes care of Ion, now slams it down on top of the Graviton from Gargoyle. Way overkill, but I mean, you kind of had to. 99% for GC Busan, and WGS will take it back.
Do they have enough at their disposal to hold this one out, though? I mean, GC Busan Wave, they have Rally, they have EMP, they have the Graviton. I mean, a lot of lethality to come out of the green side over here on the left, to come from spawn and just find kills instantly.
Edison is looking for the EMP. So the grab comes out first here from Wright, and Edison's hack can't use his EMP quite yet, but the fight is already won for GC Busan Wave, and they'll rotate towards the point. WGS maybe have a little bit of time to contest and re-engage, but it's not looking too good.
Oh, they still have the EMP and the residual armor from the rally as well, and there's the EMP going out.
Oh, that's just overkill. Pelican's just trying to contest, man, the Transcendence. At least Myeonbong can stay out of the line of sight of EMP. Now they 6 versus 5. Overtime, though, could dwindle away. They need to react quickly. There is the EMP. Trades going back and forth. Only 4 left of GC Busan Wave, and WGS trying to break through. It's only Gargoyle and his friend Sombra versus the world, but just a stall going on. Not much more they can do, but 100-53 will end for GC Busan Wave.
Valiant effort at the end there from WGS Armament, though. I mean, that EMP could have been a really big turning point for them, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to get the kills that they needed as they lost too many bodies initially. Now we go over to Control Center, though. WGS Armament look to have Flora actually swap over to the Diva, and you'll see, both Flora and DPI very likely, at least, into this composition, probably interchangeably. Playing the Diva as Gargoyle on the Zarya has just been so solid for them so far throughout this season. GC Busan Wave, on the other hand, playing that Sombra even still here. Edison going to be bringing that forward.
Yeah, giving up the Somber here for WGS, and GC Busan Wave running what they do with best. And we had some fun with the Mei, but now it's going to be about those hacks, and Edison can now go on his own journey towards the back. See if he can get a hack onto Karayan, who seems a little bit exposed. He does not get it. A great heads-up bubble came in from Gargoyle to protect that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been talking about. Defensive, reactive play from Gargoyle. That's the big difference between the Zaryas that you expected to see in this matchup. And Gargoyle having a lot of effectiveness in this because of things like that.
They really got to protect Karayan against this Sombra, and he's getting closer to the EMP, but GC Busan Wave are giving up the first cap. Now doing a bit of a rotation towards White, and again, waiting for Edison.
Unfortunately, that's just the name of the game here for GC Busan Wave. Is waiting for that EMP, waiting for a hack to come out, and given the fact that Gargoyle has just been so solid, it's going to be tough to actually find the actual straight-up hacks. You're going to basically have to wait for EMPs almost throughout this series.
And it creates these 6 versus 5 scenarios when Edison constantly has to translocate out of these fights. Now has the EMP, drops it out. WGS are mostly hacked, no support ultimates to save them, and 6 versus 4, WGS have to give this one up.
Absolutely. I mean, the EMP is something that you can rely on consistently. WGS Armament didn't have the weapons available at the time. I mean, typically you answer an EMP by throwing out the barrier, but Mondu just not close enough to that at that time. However, WGS Armament coming into this next fight, going toe-to-toe with GC Busan Wave. The real advantage here is having the Diva. Can you shut down Ritz's grab in a way that GC Busan Wave simply cannot?
Absolutely. Ritz has to think a little bit twice about how he's going to use this grab, and maybe has to pull the trigger first. Gargoyle's getting closer to his, and it might be the shatters that set apart these two teams. You see they're batting each other around. Boops could be opening up this play, and there's a shatter on top of the grab just to make sure that there's, well, still a support ultimate came out from Myeonbong, and now the responsive grab from Gargoyle traps most of Busan, and now they use the Transcendence with the barrier. Double support ultimates for GC Busan Wave, and sort of creating a winnable fight for them.
Still, WGS Armament, they're going to get the flip mid-fight, and the EMP comes out. I mean, GC Busan Wave should be winning this fight, but they lost control halfway through.
And they had to use the EMP, both support ultimates, the grab, which Ritz is going to get another one. Double kill, catching both Ion and Edison. WGS just held on to the point.
And now think of how important it was that they got that flip early, too. And coming back into the fight is going to be GC Busan Wave with the rally.
Flora also ate Ritz's grab. This is the most back and forth fight we've seen. No team wants to disengage when they are down. Bit of a last minute stall from WGS to extend their lead to about 70% something, but GC Busan gonna take it back.
That was huge from Flora. Unfortunately, I mean, basically what it allowed them to do is just get, you know, another 10% on the board, which is going to be big for them, because if they do get a flip pretty soon here, they only have to deal with one more fight. And GC Busan Wave right now, they're very low on their grab charge, whereas Gargoyle is very close to having one of his own. If he gets his energy up high quickly, and he's going to play this aggressively to do just that, then he can drop that grab and really close things out for them.
Absolutely. Both teams have Transcendences, though. It's going to be up to, can they pull it out at the right moment? And obviously survive during the initial engagement. Nice shatter created from Ion. The Transcendence from Myeonbong is there. Gargoyle throws out the grab, and Ritz might just die before he can build up that grab. But GC Busan, they survive. And now a shatter from Karayan just obliterates GC Busan Wave. And at 80% plus, WGS will flip it, or in their favor.
Now they're in a really solid position too. I mean, the big thing that they have to worry about though is the grab into EMP follow-up combo. I mean, GC Busan Wave could really just kind of trample over WGS Armament if they're not careful. They have to make sure that Mondu is staying safe. He doesn't overcommit to the Graviton, and they actually can try to keep most of their players out of the Graviton by spreading out a little bit here.
Oh, Ritz is going to have the grab. He can't have this one eaten. There it is. And it's actually the self-destruct from Flora that zones out Edison, who dies with EMP. Daydream did use the barrier earlier on, so did Mondu. And now this is the last fight for either team. Seems like a 4 versus 4. Gargoyle finds the opportunity for a grab, and he drops it. They hammer in enough damage to start obliterating GC Busan Wave. And WGS moments away from sending into a round 3, although there's a bit of a nice Transcendence from Fielder to keep the reinforcements alive, but this is all WGS all day, baby, and we go to round 3.
Perfect execution on that last fight from WGS Armament. I mean, realistically, on paper, you see the combinations of ults that are up, And GC Busan Wave wins that, 99 times out of 100. Unfortunately, it was just that one other time where Flora catches that, perfectly timed, perfectly positioned, self-destruct that comes out, as well as good play from WGS Armament to get away from that grab, so they weren't all collected in by that. Instead, it was just Pelican and Karayan coming in to actually protect him a little bit with his shield as well. So beautiful, beautiful play from WGS Armament to close that series, or that map out. And now we move on to Gardens, where we're obviously going to be expecting at least one team to play Winston, and the team that's going to be pulling that out is instead Ion.
And we've seen him do this before, and he's a very solid Winston player, but Karayan's going to stick on to the Reinhardt. How different do you think this is going to be for both teams?
Well, I think it's going to be GC Busan Wave playing this aggressively, but Ion, he has to make sure that he's staying away from Pelican, who can catch him, and Flora already lost his mech.
Oh, and he's just, Ion's playing so aggressively just away from the rest of the team, and exactly, you want to stay away from Karayan, you want to stay away from Pelican that can stun you, and even the rest of the team that can just CC the heck out of you. But even though they've lost their, it seemed like GC Busan Wave had the disadvantage losing Wright's mech. WGS had to be the one that resets, but only giving it up for the moment.
And these resets really, really cater to a Winston composition on this map, because everything's out in the open. You're giving time for GC Busan Wave to get their health back up and give their that shift cooldown back to the Winston, who's already close to Primal.
This is a really good bubble. It separates the supports from the rest, and you can see they're trying to take advantage by they took out Karayan. A grab comes out from Edison, looking to finish things off as Ion now with the Primal Rage. Gargoyle's like, I ain't dealing with any of that. Ion's like, please let me go. I want to play the game. And now GC Busan Wave, they still hold on to the point for the moment, trying to stall this one out as much as they can, but WGS late Transcendence comes out. They might have been worried that wasn't a winnable fight, and actually, even though they used it, Ion is going to deal with the rest.
And they're holding on to this one. Great sustain coming through from the Transcendence, and GC Busan Wave get yet another one of their ideal resets where everybody can come back from respawn. WGS Armament coming into this next fight, they will be able to engage pretty aggressively. They do have the backup, the allowance to actually jump in onto GC Busan Wave, and they're going to have to do that.
Oh, but Karayan could also have a shatter. They get caught off by the self-destruct. Shield is broken. What a bubble from Ion, expecting that to come out. Now the barrier for GC Busan Wave, who had lost Edison a bit early. 6 versus 5 here for WGS, who still have to take back the point. They just haven't touched it. It's 70% plus. Karayan is swinging away, trying to create or open up this point here for his team. And Gargoyle will be back, having the Graviton. They're holding on to their ultimates because they know they're going to need it to hold on and actually win this.
Yeah, WGS Armament, I mean, it's just a matter of time before they do get the flip. It's just about what they have to invest to get it. And luckily for them, they are able to close it out. Pelican coming through on the brig to deal those last couple of, executions. But now GC Busan Wave coming back into this fight. We do see Ion actually making the swap over to the Reinhardt. Wasn't close enough to the Primal to really want to stick to that. So now going over to the Reinhardt kind of gives them a better retake potential, especially going through this white room where WGS Armament actually aren't holding the door. They're going to back off all the way to the point.
And Karayan's going to have a shatter. This might be the right call. Easier to block it with a Reinhardt shield. The grab is thrown from Gargoyle. No Flora self-destruct to pair along with it. It's a 1-to-1. Both Lucio's out. Now another grab from Edison. The self-destruct from Wright with it is more successful. But Busan had to use the Transcendence there from Fielder to sustain during all of that action. They will retake, but at 88% now, WGS don't have a lot of time to waste.
It looks like they probably will be able to at least get to the point and contest it, but they have to get everyone over to the point right after to help Flora out, who does actually utilize the bubble cooldown as well.
Last chance for WGS. If they win this fight, they'll be able to survive for the moment. But already a 6 versus 5 now, taking out the mech, and Ion throws in the shatter, and it just gets so many people down. WGS have nothing to say. They completely got zoned off the point, and what a start. GC Busan Wave will take Lijiang Tower.
It's so difficult to get those recontests when you're, trying to get your diva onto the point where you're Lucio, because you have to throw the cooldown out onto them, the projected barrier. Then you don't have the ability to take a solid, clean fight against the Reinhardt because that cooldown is out. But overall, great play. I mean, even on both sides, but GC Busan Wave coming out ahead, at least in the beginning here with the 1-0 lead.
Ooh, and that was a good spot from Ion, and we even saw it during the Winston and Reinhardt matchup. He was able to actually block a shatter with the Winston bubble, which is actually harder than it looks. But we're going to throw it to a quick break. When we get back, it will be map number 2 between GC Busan Wave, WGS Armament on Eichenwald. Welcome back, everybody, to Contenders Korea. Oh my goodness, we have a match. GC Busan Wave starting off 1-0 over on Lijiang Tower over WGS Armament, and this is going to be a close match, Heurix.
Absolutely. I mean, we said it before the match even started, right? GC Busan Wave, the 0-3 scoreline does not fully tell the story of GC Busan Wave. I mean, 2 map 5s and a loss to Element Mystic, which is a very, very solid team despite their scoreline even. And WGS Armament is, you know, still a really great team, but this is going to be a good matchup, and it's already showing out to be exactly that.
We'll be heading into Eichenwald for our hybrid coming up. And was there anything that you noticed in the map 1? Did you think WGS, what could they do to come back in the second map?
Well, the interesting thing, I think, is that GC Busan Wave actually played with Wright on the Zarya and Edison playing the Sombra, where you would typically see Edison playing a DPS Zarya and then Free playing the Sombra. But what this did is allowed GC Busan Wave to, when they did play that specific composition, to actually go out and have a more reserved Zarya player, where Edison is, you know, very aggressive. He tends to play, you know, kind of to the side a little bit, flanking a little bit, kind of how you would a McCree, which he has played in the past as well. And really goes for a lot of damage pressure, but it might leave Ion more exposed. But you look over to map 3 and they put Edison on the Zarya, but Ion is actually on the Winston to start things out. So it doesn't really matter as much because Edison can more easily time out his projected barriers. He can be more aggressive. He can play that play style. So GC Busan Wave definitely playing into the style that Edison has pulled out, whereas WGS Armament really have kind of struggled against that aggression.
And there was a play that I think you and I missed, production caught, maybe you guys at home missed too. Edison, when I said he died with EMP, he actually died mid-cast of the EMP. No one got hacked, but it was a self-destruct that blew him up mid-cast, so that's just actually insane. But I've been really enjoying the Sombra v Sombra matchup, and we'll be going into Eichenwald, where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that stuff again.
Yeah, it should definitely be no surprise to see a Sombra here. It should be no surprise to see the 3-3 going into second and third, but definitely look out for WGS Armament probably putting Flora on that Sombra duty, being their, you know, Flora specialist. If they don't pull out Flora, though, definitely expect a 3-3 all the way throughout from DPI, and that's what we're getting, actually. DPI on the field right now, going to be playing probably a little bit more Diva. Gargoyle going to still play that Zarya, whereas GC Busan Wave keeping that same roster on the field, keeping Wright on there, so that Edison more than likely is going to be the one swapping to the DPS, so they have that kind of switch up that we saw in map 1.
And the last time we saw GC Busan Wave on a hybrid map, they kind of played a ton of DPS too, like Sombras, Tracers, Pharos. Maybe not going to be the call here, although I'll wait till they actually come out of it. But GC Busan Wave on this defense will be on the 3-3.
So here we have it. Edison actually on the Diva right now to start things off, and it's possible that he actually goes from Diva and then swaps over to the Sombra in, you know, the second stage, where you can play off the high ground a little bit more. And, you know, right here they may want the just direct 3-3 or 3-3 head-on fight, bring in the Diva so that you're not losing out any peel. If WGS Armament come out with a DPS comp, you're also not kind of grounded in that sense. So I think this is smart from them. Keep Wright on the Zarya so you're not also swapping around and losing ultimate economy when Edison does wind up swapping, if he does at all.
I'm gonna say a bit of a Widow debate there, a little scouting, maybe just playing around in spawn. But yeah, the 3-3 coming out and actually not holding too close to the archway, now pushing up a little bit further. Karians takes a step back, and oh, DPI losing Meg, that's not good.
Yeah, you can see them really playing into that reactive style, and Edison, being an aggressive player by nature, is actually going to be really good in this position on Diva, because when someone gets exposed by, you know, Delight or something like that, Edison, you can be assured that he is going to be jumping in on them with the shift and the micro missiles as well.
And he's still okay. Now he gets the mech back. Everything is fine. We're gonna try this one again. They're gonna break through the underpass here, and Ion's gonna be swinging away and getting closer and get a first pick. Even Karian got stunned, and they're taking a step back. WGS are just not getting the right setup attack.
Look at the ultimate charge disparity as well, where Wright is already getting his graph. Ion is, I mean, because they're winning these fights seemingly so easily, GC Busan Wave really coming out ahead now, and they can kind of start taking these a little bit slower, utilize their ultimates efficiently, not overuse, not overextend, and really take advantage of this and start taking some serious time away from WGS Armament on their attack.
It's gonna be up to these two grabs, and Ion also slams down the Shatter. It does get blocked from Karayan. The first grab comes out from Ritz. You don't have Edison's self-destruct to pair with it, but you do have one high energy Zarya of Ritz. Gargoyle also threw out his own grab, but the Transcendence from Fielder kept everyone from GC Busan alive. So this has been multiple defenses from them, and WGS, what's it gotta take, man?
I mean, great matching there from GC Busan Wave as well. You can tell that they're in control and they can sense that because, you know, they are matching ultimates utilized by WGS Armament. When WGS use something, GC Busan Wave respond in turn, and that's a clever way of holding this defensively without overextending ultimates.
So rally engage from WGS. They use the barrier on top of it. Now they need to win this fight. A nice Fire Strike to finish off Ion. They'll chase the rest of GC Busan Wave, who hide away in the hallways. Although WGS did lose Karayan, they now want to move towards the point, but a bit of a weird self-destruct there from Edison gets back into mech, and it's actually equalized the numbers for the moment.
Yeah, and GC Busan Wave need to hurry up. I mean, it's going to take a long time for them to get all back together, but finally they do wind up doing just that, and WGS Armament might have to back off here while Gargoyle doesn't, I mean, he just doesn't have the ability to drop the grab just yet, so they can't group GC Busan Wave up the way that they want to, and even when they do, Fielder has the Transcendence.
And they had to wait for DPI to get back into mech 2. That took a few more seconds. Now down to the last minute. Karayan gets a shatter block. Nice play from Ion. They disengage slightly, but right into the grab from Gargoyle, who gets countered from Fielder's Transcendence. Nice self-destruct from DPI. Does burn through. That takes care of Daydream. 6 versus 5 for WGS. They move on with a Transcendence. And another shatter comes out from Ion, but it's not the ultimate that will turn things around, and neither will Ritz. And how does this turn around? WGS always look like they have the upper hand, and then somehow Ritz grabs and everyone's dead.
And of course, it's Edison just dishing out a ton of punishment, even on the Diva. And again, this is the difference that GC Busan Wave can create with Edison, who's, no matter what character he's on, you can definitely tell how aggressive he's going to want to be. And even on the Diva, he's just in the face of WGS and pushing them off of the point with Ritz at his back as well. So GC Busan Wave now looking to contest once again. They're going to have both their support ults if they can just delay this fight a little bit.
Oh, Karayan, though, he's going to have the Shatter, and he's going to be playing some run games around this payload. He could also send the Brig to the other side to create this opportunity. Slams it down, doesn't find much, and a self-destruct to zone out the area there from, I believe, Edison. Fielder with the Transcendence. GC Busan Wave now in overtime. Want to hold this against WGS. Self-destruct from DPI, and a Shatter from Ion got a few down. It's absolutely chaos on this map, and Gargoyle finally will get the point here for WGS after a really nice Graviton plus Karayan's hammer into that.
WGS Armament forced to take it in overtime though, and not only that, but also forced to use all of their ultimates at the end. So GC Busan Wave pull out virtually everything, and here's that Edison swap that we were talking about. You know, you hold Diva for first point, bring in the Sombra later, and that's exactly why you put these two together, Ritz and Edison, so that you can make swaps like that. Now you start building into the EMP, playing the high ground, and start dishing out some hacks so that Karayan and Gargoyle just can't do anything.
Yeah, had the high ground for the moment, and now trying to contest the card, waste as much time as possible. Ritz has the grab, he'll be looking for it, launches it against the wall, and everyone's there to have a party into it. No support ultimates for WGS to survive that, losing most of their front line. Ion is out, he'll be able to get back in time before WGS are ready.
Yeah, this is just going to be such a struggle for WGS Armament to actually push through this gate, and then once they do, that's when we actually see the real high ground play, you know, come out, where Edison can basically just play from bridge, play up where you see him kind of scouting around right now. He can just stay up here and just dish out pressure. You know, he has that range, but it's all going to be about the EMP in this next fight. GC Busan Wave waiting on Edison to pull that out.
Yeah, they pulled it out right away, but my own bug was at least out of line of sight and out of the range of it using the Transcendence, but they still lose Karayan out of all that, who had the Shatter, and Ion's about to have his. They might know that he does, so they do not want to engage in that 6 versus 5.
Support advantage here for GC Busan Wave. Yeah, Gargoyle, you know, of course he does have that Graviton Surge, but Edison still playing from the high ground, and then all 3 support ults ready for GC Busan Wave. They could hold out here. There's less than a minute left for WGS Armament.
Oh, it's taken them so long. GC Busan Wave so good at wasting time. It'll be up to the grabs, the shatters, you name it. Gargoyle pulls the trigger first, counter shatter from Ion, and the support ultimates come out from WGS to sustain for the moment. Only the barrier. Self-destruct from DPI forces GC Busan Wave forward, still catches Delight. And again, WGS, can they pull this forward? There's only 30 seconds. You can't have a clean reset at the moment, and now they lost DPI's mech.
Not only that, but Edison, he does have the EMP finally, and the beat has been held onto by Daydream. They could just go on to the point right away, you know, with about 15 seconds left, 10 seconds left, and force this to be the last fight for WGS.
And he needs to make sure he's looking for Myonbong, who's going to have the Transcendence. He absolutely needs to nail that. Hacks DPI just so he can't play the game. Throws out the EMP, lands it on top. But again, Myonbong had the Transcendence. He's there for the moment. Gargoyle will be the one you're relying on for WGS. He's going to have the grab. They don't have Karayan. And GC Busan Wave, that's a free shatter for them. Ion slams it down. They're caught into Gargoyle's grab. But this is all GC Busan Wave, who really don't have anyone standing in their way from this defense, or for the defense, as WGS will end their payload journey here halfway towards B.
Wow. I mean,
Wowie.
compositionally, as expected, right? I mean, DPI is expected to come in here, probably play a lot of that diva. That's what we got. Edison, Ritz playing together. You expect Edison, you know, starting off on the diva to play very aggressively, really kind of go for those targets that are exposed. But then he goes over to this Sombra. And honestly, GC Busan Wave, I don't think I've played this well with a Sombra so far. And this was insane. Great stuff to be able to close some of these fights out. Great reaction from Myonbong there, but unfortunately just not enough. And playing from the high ground, Edison can just dish out so much pressure.
It was a little weird. I thought, you know, you see the Zenyatta, you probably know he has Transcendence. You still use the EMP despite, and then not even trying to get him in line of sight. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they still won the fight, so that was great. You can kill the rest of the team. Transcendence, not enough there, but very surprising to see WGS fall so early in their attack. This didn't really go that far.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really have much time, did they? Right? I mean, had to cap it in overtime. It's not something that you would expect to see from, yeah, I mean, it's not something that you would initially expect from WGS Armament, you know, to be capping that first point and taking so much away from them as well. I mean, remember back, WGS Armament had to use like literally every single ultimate just to cap that first point. So coming away from that first point take in overtime, I think Karayan was at like 60% ult charge or 40% ult charge, but everybody else was at like 20. So they didn't have anything to build momentum off of, and Edison is the only person that swapped from GC Busan Wave, so they were able to easily just, you know, kind of push that gateway. Now, on the attack though, GC Busan Wave keeping Edison on that Sombra, just going to be playing for those EMPs, and all they have to really do is win 2 fights at this stage.
You can also send Edison towards the back, get that information. Not as visually obvious to where the defense is setting up, and getting a hack onto Karayan, a big opportunity open there for Ion, and starts to build towards his EMP. Not much earned there, but at least you can see GC Busan Wave have broke through that underpass, but they've lost Ion.
Yeah, they have to be really careful. I mean, they don't have the diva in this matchup. WGS Armament can really be a little bit more aggressive here, especially when Edison is out of the fight. If he's not trying to take down the support in the backline, whether he translocates out or he's still rotating to get into position, WGS Armament should be getting aggressive there, and that's exactly what we saw them do against Ion.
Even have Edison sometimes go for these back caps. He can take the attention away from WGS Armament, who now retreat towards the point. No ultimates yet, but Gargoyle's at least 20% ahead of the grab game, so that could be an advantage coming up.
We will see Gargoyle, yeah, 93% right now. They have to get this last couple of percentage as Gargoyle is so low. He's going to be taken down by Edison.
Great finish from Edison, and he's going to have the EMP shortly. Ritz is going to have the grab. Shatter blocked. Again, great play from Ion. Transcendence still used in panic from Fielder in case that would have gone through. And they trap WGS in a Graviton. There's the finish for the attacking team, who will get the payload here.
Edison holding on to the EMP as well. Remember, they just have to take this point and then probably win 1, maybe 2 fights. Probably 2 fights. WGS should be able to contest, but it depends on, you know, if they do get staggered, if they're staggered off point, that kind of stuff does come into play. And if they aren't, you know, doing this intelligently, they could give this up to GC Busan Wave kind of freely. So we'll have to see what they're going to get out of this. Now Edison in the back has the EMP looking to shut down.
Oh, they're shutting down exactly with that
Wow.
EMP, the barrier, and the shutter on top of that. Oh my goodness. GC Busan Wave, I mean, clearly won this fight along with that kill onto Karai. You see WGS just want to get away as much as they can to see if they can have one last engage. But man, they're getting staggered, Heurix.
Solid disengage, though, at least for now. They have to get back pretty quickly, though. This is going to be a desperate defense. And even if they're successful here, there's still 4 minutes on the clock for GC Busan Wave to build to their EMP, build to their combos, build to the support ults, everything that they may need.
Oh, they grabbed a DPI. He drops a self-destruct. Another grab now from Gargoyle. DPI self-destruct did get Ritz, and now you have Edison out of the fight. GC Busan just got destroyed, and this is exactly where WGS Armament want that payload to be.
Yeah, but unfortunately here, again, just to reiterate, so much time still available for GC Busan Wave. This should be their point to take. And of course, WGS Armament have to be effectively flawless here. They cannot make any single mistake. They have to make sure that they have answers for the EMP, answers for the grab to come down as well. You can't have too many people caught. You have to play the high ground, at least to some effect, or else you will be exposing everybody to the lethality that comes from the EMP and the grab when they do come online later in this.
Well, Edison at least called out the WGS were on the high ground. GC Busan, they did rotate up there, and Fielder's going to be important here to keep alive for GC Busan on this attack, having that transcendence and keep an eye on Karayan with the shatter. You can see DPR is already close to getting demeched, and Karayan slams it down. It didn't catch anyone. Fielder even has the transcendence. GC Busan just completely zoned out Karayan. One last hurrah with Edison's EMP, but thankfully WGS still have some people on the cart to contest. It's not looking good. Everyone is just dead for this defense. GC Busan Wave, this is such a one-sided series, and I can't believe this. Seconds away and getting it done. The 2-0 lead over WGS Armament.
Score lines do not suggest anything. I mean, we're halfway through Korean Contenders group stage now this season, and nothing has been determined just yet. We know, we have an indication of what teams are, pretty solid, what teams may be a little bit behind, but nothing has been settled yet. GC Busan Wave 0-3 coming into this matchup. WGS Armament, on the other hand, 2-1, and GC Busan Wave is definitely upsetting here in this set.
And this is like that historical matchup we've talked about where GC Busan Wave, they lost in the quarterfinals in Game 5 versus WGS Armament. And now, the revenge is so sweet. And 2-0, I mean, we're going to be going into Hanamura, where that's WGS's Armament's last chance. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side.